This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth. We got a great show lined up for you today, my friends. So let's just jump right into this. Today we're going to be taking a look at this from baystreet.ca. The price of gold rises on inflation fears. The price of gold is on track for its biggest monthly increase since July 2020 as the US dollar heads for a second month of decline and fears of inflation grow around the world. The price of spot gold was up 0.1% to 1904 US per ounce, while the US gold futures rose 0.2% to 1909. Spot prices have risen over 7.5% in the month of May. So many analysts are now forecasting that the price of gold will exceed $2,000 an ounce in the coming weeks. And joining us on the line to help us understand all of this is Scott Berdahl of Snowline Gold. Snowlinegold.com is the website. Scott, thanks so much for joining us here today to help us understand all this on Press for Truth. Now, I want to start with the hot topic of the day in finance, and that is inflation. Whether this be lumber or iron ore or steel, copper, oil, wheat, you name it, pick any of your major agricultural commodities or base metals, and they're rallying to 52-week highs, some of them all-time highs. And this is coming with some inflation measures at 40-year highs. Meanwhile, the federal government is justifying all of this with supply chain restraints, but there are voices saying there's hyperinflation coming down the pike. So let's start with that. Where do you sit on the inflation debate? Do you see this coming, and is it potentially going to get worse?
Yeah, I mean, well, I wish I had a crystal ball. I definitely see the warning signs of inflation, and not just the warning signs, but it's happening. And you know, you talk to people about supply squeezes and that sort of thing, but when you see it in just every sector, as you mentioned, it's hard to see how you can de-escalate from that sort of a scenario. So it, you know, to me, this looks a lot like inflation. And when it's backed by just rampant money printing, as has been going on over the past year, we can sort of afford it in a sense. Not really, but you know, the money is there to prop up those higher prices. And so it really does seem to be inflationary.
Have you noticed that the Fed seems to be downplaying this right now, suggesting it's just transitionary? Have you noticed that, and why do you think that is?
I have. Yeah, they certainly do talk about it as a transitionary effect. And, you know, at some level, their hands might be tied. We've had a long period of low interest rates, and with that comes sort of an inability to raise those rates again. You look at so many people with mortgages and with other debts that they need to service that they've built over this past 5 or 10 year period of low rates, and so it's really hard for them to use the levers that they kind of traditionally use to operate these things. So they might be kind of stuck in a hole.
Well, traditionally in times of uncertainty, and when people see things like this coming down the pike, they usually start to protect their assets into more safer havens. A lot of people have moved into cryptocurrency. That's proven to be a little shady over the last few weeks. But do you see signs of uncertainty causing people to move into the precious metal spaces anytime soon?
Yeah, well, I think you are seeing that even now, as you mentioned, with cryptos starting to correct or decline, depending on one's point of view. And some of that money does appear to be moving into the gold space. And then you have things like the Basel III Accord coming into effect over the next year and even over the next month in some areas, which will really sort of set gold as almost move it from being an asset to being really a global currency. So, that could have huge effects.
Well, it's risen so much in the past 20 years, and I do think people are starting to see it as a safe haven store of value. Why do you think that is? Why traditionally are people feeling a lot safer when it comes to gold than, say, any of these other ones?
Well, it's very easy to understand gold itself. You have gold and there it is. You don't need to worry about algorithms or security breaches. Well, you might still have to worry about security breaches, but a different kind. And so I think, it's with the traditional store of value that gold has had for basically all of civilization. And the fact that you can't print more of it, like you need to go out and find it. It's a very purpose-built sort of material for being a currency. So I think that's a lot of the appeal.
Now, something I've been talking about on this channel for quite some time is the potential for a coming dollar crash, not even the potential, the inevitability of a dollar crash. And if we do get to the point of the dollar tanking anytime soon, what will that mean for commodities? And in particular, what would that mean for the gold price if the dollar were to tank?
I mean, yeah, the dollar would tank relative to the gold price, so just intrinsically the gold price would go way up, and but beyond that, it would also be a more stable unit of purchasing power. So that might bring further investment into gold, which would further drive the prices up.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about investing into gold. With Snowline Gold, there are some pretty heavy hitters. You got a stellar lineup there. Maybe we could just start with that. Talk a little bit about some of the key people who are involved, in particular with Snowline.
Yeah, no, we're really lucky to have brought these heavy hitters onto the team. Our chair is Craig Hart. He's the head of the MDRU at UBC. They're basically a team that has put together some really interesting deposit models. And prior to that, he spent 14 years exploring the Yukon, so he knows it in and out. On our advisory board, um, we have Paul Matisic, and I should mention our CEO is Nicholas Matisic, his son. So we're really lucky to have them both involved. And for those that don't know, Paul has had an incredible track record over the past 10 years of putting together and selling companies in aggregate. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's over $2 billion that he sold these companies for. So just to have that stamp of approval, to have them look at our projects and say, yes, this is exciting, is, that's great. And we also have Quentin Henning providing advisory support for the company. He's been really good, especially since a lot of our targets, is particularly on our Einerson project, look a lot like what they're pulling out of the ground in Newfoundland. It's that type of deposit hasn't seen a ton of exploration enthusiasm in past cycles, and so it's kind of flown under the radar. But with what they're pulling out of the ground there, and just happenstantially us picking up these rocks that look amazingly like that, and having Quentin involved in an advisory capacity is just great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually spoke with Quentin recently, and I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think Newfound Gold is up something like 600% in the last 10 months. Like, it's just been phenomenal. And I do believe you guys are getting to the point of being able to start drilling. Are you ready for that? Are you fully funded for that? And if so, that must be exciting. Like, let's talk a little bit about the potential for drilling with you guys.
Absolutely. We're mobilizing we're mobilizing our camp this week, and I've actually got my bags packed in the other room, ready to head out after this call. And we are bringing in a drill mid-month, and so we hope to have that up and running before too long, sometime in June.
Okay, awesome. And so, what other sort of milestones or catalysts do you foresee or expect or hope to achieve in the near future?
Yeah, so with the drill program, we're looking at about 3,000 meters, and we're doing initial testing on multiple targets on 2 different properties. So we have these are pretty incredible targets. I encourage anyone to go to our website, snowlinegold.com, and check out our investor presentation. So these targets just have not been drilled before, and that upside as we probe them for the first time should be really interesting. I think you talked about Snowline as having leverage to the gold price. I think we have sort of an increased leverage in terms of, we're discovering gold. So not only are we tied to these gold projects, but if these drill holes, if the truth machine likes us, and if our ideas check out, and we look to be onto some very big systems out there, then we're generating gold. Basically, we're generating value. So it's an exciting place to be.
Yeah, it's an exciting time, really. And I've been telling my audience for this whole year, really, that I kind of foresee some uncertainty coming down the pike in the third and fourth quarter of 2021. So maybe just final thoughts. But where do you see this going? Like you said, I know you don't have a crystal ball. But in times of uncertainty, we have this coronavirus pandemic, we have potential wars coming in the Middle East, we have all sorts of things that may come down the pike. Where do you see this potentially going? The article we read from in the beginning says potentially $2,000 an ounce in the next coming weeks. I don't know if that's a little bullish, but where do you see it going?
Yeah, well, I'm bearish. Sorry, bullish. That Yeah, I think that we're in a good place. I mean, that's why we're exploring for gold. I think that whether it's in a few weeks or a few months or a few years even, but I would think it's sooner than that, that the effects of everything going on start to kind of compound in the gold price. Yeah, I think in third and fourth quarter, gold will be in a good place. We're happy to be there. And, it's already strong. So we're already happy with what it is. And but if it goes up, all the better.
True. It is strong right now, and it's really showing no signs of slowing down. So an excellent and exciting time to be involved. Guys, I want to strongly encourage you to check out the links in the description. Once again, Scott, thanks so much for joining us here to help us understand the ebb and flows of the markets today.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.